Welcome back and many thanks for staying with us right here on Morning at NTV. I do have Andrew Kaggwa, he's an arts and culture journalist with the Daily Monitor, and also Mr. Ibrahim Bossa, the spokesperson, Uganda Communications Commission. We are going to be talking about the nominations for the Uganda Film Festival. Myself, I had a chance to actually join acting. That was around 2018. I was working with Richard Mulindwa, yes, on Mistakes Girls Do. Yeah. But I only went for the auditions, and then I went through. We did the shooting of some episodes, but then NTV came around. You know, I had to first concentrate. But then during the shooting of the episodes, I noticed we were shooting some part in Mistakes Girls Do, and I was told to cry. Guess what? I couldn't cry. Andrew Kaggwa, I couldn't cry on set. I couldn't gather my feelings to cry on set. And then that's when Richard Molina told me, you are holding something back, Romeo Busiku. What is it?
Very good morning, gentlemen. Good morning.
Yes.
In my experience, I do not know what the scene was about, but I think you were not really, you didn't really get into that.
Okay, here's my background. Military background, military school and everything. We were told a man is not supposed to cry. Me growing up, it didn't matter what you did to me, I would never cry.
Yeah, but actually,
like too much pain will numb your pain. So I get on set and I'm being told, okay, you've lost your daughter, she has died, so we want you to cry. I couldn't cry.
It's all about putting yourself in a situation of a man
yes,
who knows how to be vulnerable,
yes,
even if you're not vulnerable personally.
Yes. So Andrew Kaggwa, how are you doing this beautiful morning? The Uganda Film Festival, we have the nominations. What do you make of all this?
It's a very good morning. See, I'm a journalist that came around when the UCC the Uganda Film Festival was coming up. I think by the time I came, I joined the media. They had been around for a year, and then I was lucky to be part of the second one, and then the rest, and then to now. I remember there was a time I was interviewing a Nigerian lady. She's called Patience, and in one of the things she said, "You guys are lucky to have a festival run by maybe a government arm or something." And at that time, truth is, that time I thought it was really good.
Okay.
But in the long run, when I look at it, I'm thinking, okay, having gone to that position where right now I'm also trying to showcase content or trying to run some sort of, not really a festival, but a showcase of a sort, it's actually not very healthy to have a regulator running a festival.
Wait, you don't think it is healthy to have the Uganda Communications Commission running the Uganda Film Festival?
Much as I would like them to be part of the industry,
all right,
maybe supporting other people that are doing these things, it becomes so hard when they are part of it, because you know why? Like, you see, UCC is very intimidating.
All right.
And I don't know if you like it, but UCC is very intimidating.
Well, Ibrahim Bossa is not hiding any bombs, is he? But go ahead.
It is so hard for me to go to an advert, even if it's NTV.
Yes.
I come to NTV and I'm like, I want you guys to partner with me on my film festival. And then after I walk out, UCC comes in and like, we would like you guys to partner with us on a festival. Remember, he's a regulator, like probably they could just wake up and be like, your license, we are done. So you're thinking, if it's up to NTV to choose between me and UCC, they will have to think twice. They'll be like, Andrew and your thing, you have good intentions, but it's UCC.
Please go ahead and explain.
So for me,
you've been talking, but I still don't get it. UCC
what
coming
I'm
on board, it looks like a good thing,
UCC
but there are some biases from some
It is a good
artists.
thing, but them being a regulator biases everything. It will be hard for you, one, to work with sponsors that are directly working with them because they are regulating them. One, when UCC comes and like, we want to work with you, it will be so hard for those people to choose me over UCC, even if what I'm saying is actually maybe a better project. Maybe I'm selling a better project, a better product, but it will be so hard
to bypass UCC.
To bypass UCC, and they come to me. And personally, I've seen that play out. Like, it's so easy for UCC to get, let me say, cinemas to come on board. If we are doing it our way, like just us, they will take, you will go through a lot of hoops, and you won't.
Isn't that more reason to have UCC on board since they get things done?
The danger in that is that, one, a lot of things may get curtailed. I'm thinking, one, when I talk about an artist who came and told truth to the power and probably made people realize that art exists, which artist comes to your mind?
Go ahead.
You see, it wasn't last year, it was 2019. We were running a festival. It's called Kampala Makula. I'm sure you know about that. And we had this documentary about an artist who rose up, spoke truth to power, but surprisingly, that documentary wasn't about a Ugandan artist. It's an artist in Cameroon. And we took that film to be classified. And I still remember we were told, we shall tell you if this film is fit to be screened. I can tell you, I was a judge in that festival. We gave that film best documentary film, and to date we've never been told if we are fit to screen the movie. And we did not screen that film during the documentary, during the festival. So when I say there is curtailing when it comes to a regulator running a festival, I'm thinking, suppose I want to tell a film that's very political, and we have politics among us. We are political.
I hear you now.
Suppose I want to make a film that's political, and it has to be in festivals in Uganda, and yet one of the festivals is actually run by a regulator.
So the regulator sees the film and says that one is not going through.
Yeah, and probably the film won't even be able to get to a Ugandan screens because it's political.
And on that point,
that's one of my biggest problems with
Here is the good news. You have Ibrahim Bossa, is the spokesperson Uganda Communications Commission. Please address Andrew Cagwell's concerns in that regard.
I think Andrew makes an interesting perspective. I think it's more of an opinion. Everybody would have an opinion on this, either positive or negative. And I think he's entitled to see what he sees. I also want to believe that his concerns probably could have some material in them. But I would want Ugandans probably to see the bigger picture.
Indeed. Maybe you can start with how UCC got on board.
Exactly, and that is the important thing. You see, while UCC is the regulator of communications in the sector, what also people usually forget, and we're trying very hard to show it to people, we also do promote, we do facilitate, and we do enable the development of the sector. All right. Now, in doing so, we have a stake in film exhibition and distribution under the Uganda Communications Act. Remember, there are many players within the film sector. URSB has a role to play, Media Council has a role to play, and I mean, some other stakeholders also have some roles to play. So our role or our entry point is in the film exhibition and distribution. Now, way back in 2013, we met stakeholders and said, how best can we help to make sure that we uplift, we promote, we grow the film sector? Okay, so people had a lot of issues. At the time, there were issues of accessing funds. There were issues of accessing markets. At the point in time, there were issues of very poor content because broadcasters could not actually take local content because of its quality. And we said, okay, I think we need a platform that will be able to cast a spotlight on the film sector. We know who is doing what, building aspects of capacity building, being able to also take our content probably and expose it to international markets. We invite people of international repute to come in the country, but also expose our people on the outside. And the UFF was designed to offer just that platform. First of all, we get local content competing among each other. We get content buyers coming to the film market to see what is available. And they share their ideas on basically what kind of content they would want to buy and things of the kind. We give some rewards to winning artists or content so that people can have something that they can plow back within their establishment in terms of developing more content. We have taken people, winners, in terms of awards to international film festivals, basically to expose our content, to basically build what we call film tourism in this country. So you realize that we as a regulator have those linkages, have been able to provide that consistency. We are able to talk to many players within the market to bring them in one place.
Yes, boss.
If you see what we do in terms of capacity building, we're bringing international artists, we're bringing international trainers to be able to train
Which
our local
wouldn't
people.
have been possible if they were doing it on their own.
That is my thinking.
Right.
People need to see, because we have that clout, we have that influence, we have those linkages, and we are able to help benefit the film sector.
So the benefits outweigh the risks.
In my opinion, I think people need to be able to see what we've been able to do in the last 7 years for the film market. That before 2013, we did not have Ugandan content competing in any international film film exhibitions abroad.
Kaggwa says we did.
You see, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Before 2013. Today, we have hundreds of films that are being presented, because you look at it this way. If you are a runner, a racer, you don't just come up one morning and go to Kenya and say, I'm one of the fastest guys and I would want to enter your competition. Usually you have to have some accolades, who knows you in your country, what have you been able to do. So we have given a platform to films to compete here. They have won accolades and they have gone within the region, they have gone internationally and have actually got screenings. Before 2013, very few films were able to premiere even in the big cinemas in Kampala here. Today, we have given a platform where we have many films that are able now to premiere on our big screens here.
Thanks to UCC.
You see, if you look at, for example, the requirements for local content, many pay TVs have now come up even with dedicated channels to carry local content. Before 2013, if you see how much local content was either on free-to-air television or on pay television, you should be able to demonstrate what impact the Uganda Film Festival has been able to
Ibrahim Bossa, the spokesperson of the Uganda Communications Commission, and Andrew Kaggwa, an arts and culture journalist with the Daily Monitor, he seems not to agree with his submission. Go ahead.
One of my biggest problems with UCC is not the fact that they host the festival. Like I say, we need such things.
The behind-the-scenes work.
Yeah, but my problem with them is the misconception that they present most of the times. One, we are not having all these things because UCC is running a festival. We're having all these things because, one, is the timing, the growth in technology. Like, many of the things are changing. One, the times you're talking about, DSTV did have a channel, I think only one channel to carry African content. And as you can see, the channel has grown. Right now, they could be about 20-something carrying African content. Like, the reason why it was just one channel at that time, probably it's because they were starting out. And by the way, when it was just one channel, still, there was Ugandan content. Because I remember Cindy Magara's Fate was the very first Ugandan film to be carried on. And then later on, they added on Hand in Hand, Child of a Delegate, and there were other Ugandan films, though there were very few. And at that time, they tried to come up with an East African channel. I think it was called Africa Magic Plus at that time, but it didn't catch on because there was no content coming from East Africa generally, not just a Ugandan thing. But now, going to Uganda, like, things have changed. Yes, there was that time where you were having just one divisions from Donald Mugisha coming out. And today, because people are more exposed, people are traveling more. Like, personally, I've been to literally all the international festivals besides the Cannes in France. I've been to many of them, and sometimes I find there are Ugandans that are trying to come back home but have never done a film in Uganda. And then they travel back and they will do a film. At that time, the times you're talking about, for example, 2007, I remember Mad Bish. That was about the time Mad Bish came out with Battle of Souls. And 2009, he did State Research Bureau. Like, things were happening. It's just that they were slow, not because there wasn't a festival. It was so hard to access gadgets. It was so hard to probably find people that can do things. And today we have a film school, a Kampala film school that's training people and churning out talent every day. People returning, people like Karo Kamia returning to Uganda.
Because the industry is growing and they can see the exposure there.
Actually, some of them come back to Uganda to work in ad agencies. And then as they are working, because technically most of the people that are doing adverts in Uganda were trained as filmmakers, but maybe saw this thing and they noticed this thing wasn't working.
Indeed.
They concentrated on
and also, Andrew Cagwell, the viewer who is watching Morning at NTV this beautiful Friday, would like to know, what are some of those challenges plaguing filmmakers and those trying to get into the business?
I think one of the biggest challenges at the moment, that despite the fact that we've had the Uganda Film Festival for 8 years, okay, this will be the 8th, despite the fact that we've had them for the past 7 years, it still feels like Ugandans do not know we have an industry. Like, I can tell you for a fact, I was talking to someone when the cinemas opened in September. I was asking them, do you think I should be bringing a film? Because I'm marketing a couple of films. And they told me, if it's an old Ugandan film, you can try it. But if it's a new Ugandan film, do not bring it this time, because Hollywood is struggling. How do you expect Ugandan films not to struggle? Yet, if I had that conversation in Nigeria, they would be like, yeah, Hollywood is struggling, but Nigeria would definitely work, because when you go to their cinemas, Nigerian films are actually trouncing the Hollywood films. In Uganda, we have a festival which throws us a very big party, and I love going for that party. But when I look at the impact, when I go during, because it's during...
Andrew Kaggwa, you just watered down the significance of the Uganda Film Festival to the iPod.
It's during the festival that I usually go to the cinemas to catch a lot of Ugandan films programmed like in one
So you think this is just a tea event?
There are very many chances that you're going to go to a cinema and you'll be alone. And I've been alone very many times. And at times I'm wondering, okay, why are we having a festival if
there's no
we are going to be alone watching these movies? Though I like the corporate screening, like people usually come out, but still what annoys me about it is that at the end of the day, when I look at the people that have shown up, people that worked as crew, their relatives, so we are still going
So
back
there
to
is
that
no
thing
criticism, but just showcasing
where I really want people to show up and watch films.
We criticize
but
it
at
together.
the end of the day, the people that are showing up are the people that worked on the film and their relatives. So, which begs me to ask,
so more like
have we built
so
an audience over the past 7
it's more
years?
like a tea event where they go to just watch the movies that have been made, no criticism made on the same.
I've not said that. By the way, we brought on the criticism because I remember when I joined, I critiqued Munidwa Richard this film, and
Mistakes girls do.
He wasn't very, very happy. One time he said he'll come to the National
Which
Theatre.
year was that?
It was 2015.
I remember him talking about you during the auditions.
He was like, I'll go to the National
shooting.
Theatre, look for that Andrew Kaggwa and beat him up. Today we are very good friends because people have actually noticed that we do not hate what they do.
Indeed.
We're trying
You
to
just want to
guide
make them better.
Yeah.
And of course, UCC is here. Would like to know, what is UCC trying to do to help those individuals, the filmmakers and others, trying to get into the business?
Thank you. Before I jump into the help,
Go
I
ahead.
think the viewer would like to know, while Andrew gives some very good criticism of the festival, and I think it's healthy, because if anything like that is to grow, people need to be able to have alternative views of what is happening. But I think there are a few facts that probably do not come out and people need to know. So for example, the festival is not 100% run by the regulator, especially the technical aspects. If you look at, for example, the judging panel, these are stakeholders that are external to the commission. Judges are from international arena, plus experts from locally here who do the evaluations and these kinds of things. So the beauty of the festival so far is its independence in terms of what comes out. Whether you have a political movie or ABCD, the commission does not do the selection. Nobody working within the premises of the commission, it basically sits on that panel. Everybody is external.
So I could still make a political movie and it
that's the point I'm trying to make, that people need to understand how this festival works.
About that.
Yes, let me get it, because it's important that people understand this. If you look at, for example, capacity building, which is something we have gotten, you see, we don't sit back in our boardroom and think of what do we need to do. We actually call the stakeholders and say, how can we help? How can we help to promote, to enable? People tell us what the challenges are, and we say, how do we build them into the festival? A lot of issues has been around capacity building. The capacity building that we do, if you talk about script writing, cinematography, teaching people about funding, crowdfunding, and so on, teaching about distribution and marketing of films, all these are designed to help people. If you look at this year round, we have always done trainings for 1 week. The feedback we got last year is that people needed trainings that had some kind of certification. This year around, we're looking at trainings that are going to take 12 weeks with a certification at the end of it. We are responding to a need, to a criticism of a previous process. You see where we're coming from. So when we come in areas of help and assistance, people have continuously said that the quality of our content is still low because issues of funding. We as a regulator thought that we could also start with a platform where people could be able to get some kind of grants. Currently, as we speak, we now have a content development support program. It started this year. I think we have so far got 16 applications to that content fund, and we hope to actually interest many other stakeholders to be able to chip in to grow that fund. We already have partners who show some interest in that. So the thing is that we have a starting point, and people need to know what is available for us to be able to move ahead. There were issues of equipment. People cannot afford the expensive equipment to make films. We have worked with a number of people and say that actually we can structure that we can have people who can import and deal in the business of provision of equipment so that the filmmaker doesn't have to buy but can hire equipment. And we work with the Maisha Labs and all these kind of things. That's why we do an exhibition, so that people can see who are in the business of distribution, in production, in hiring of equipment, in cosmetics and things of the kind, okay? And that's what a festival is about. So yes, there may be elements that need improvement, and I think that is a wonderful thing. So far what we have been able to do, I think so far, and the testimonies, I think there's this lady, is it called Nancy? In 2019, she had the best winning movie.
She's called Anisha.
Anisha. Anisha gave testimony and said that she first learned how to write a film script in a training offered by the festival at the Uganda Communications Commission. And here she goes to actually write a movie, direct a movie, which actually won accolades for her. So you can see where we're coming from. So the testimonies are there, and we are proud of the testimonies. But I think we should also welcome the criticisms, because that is what is going to keep the tempo, the momentum moving. People have always forgotten that a sector like, or the industry like the movies, can only thrive to be the likes of the Nollywoods, the Bollywoods, and the Hollywoods today if it is structured, if there are laws and regulations and standards that govern it, and at the end of the day, we are in the best place to help that industry be able to move in that direction. While we're introducing standards and regulations slowly by slowly, there's a lot of resistance, and it's acceptable, meaning there's a lot of capacity building needed, a lot of awareness needed, but we are moving in the right direction.
Andrew Kaggwa, you wanted to make a submission on what you were saying.
I'm pleasantly surprised about, in my language, I would call it a film fund. I don't know if that's what you mean.
We avoided calling it a fund because in our laws we cannot call it a fund unless the Act calls it so. So it is actually called a content support development program.
Okay, that's quite more confusing.
Go ahead.
But it is what it is.
They'll be offering
you're able to apply and get funding as long as you're making audiovisual content that is Ugandan by a Ugandan.
UCC will support it.
You get support from that.
Well, I'm pleasantly surprised about that, and well, that's a very good
and
move.
it's good for the artists.
Because you see, world over, I will use an example of South Africa, because I think I've attended more of their festivals than anywhere else. They also have their film fund where they will ask for about 12 suggestions of films that people will bring in, and then okay, they'll get the best out. They usually get out the best 12, and they make sure they release about 12 films a year. And you can imagine if an industry is releasing 12 quality, well-funded films a year, that's good enough. That's more like having a film at the cinemas every month. So I'm pleasantly surprised about that, and that's a very good move. And it's one of those things we've been asking for a very long time, and it seemed so hard to reach to.
Of course.
At the moment, I'm very happy it's coming up. One, the other thing is filmmakers are paying a lot of money to actually screen a film. I think you know about the classification fees.
How much are they paying?
In Uganda, they're paying 150, but if it's a foreign film, even if it's a film from Kenya, they'll pay $150. And that's regardless of, okay, one might be bringing Black Panther, which is going to the cinema, and the other one could be bringing Subira, which is from Kenya, and they will pay the same amount. Now, my issue with this is as a content exhibitor. Like, you see, in many of the industries I've been to, much of this money directly goes back to the filmmakers. Actually, it usually goes to the film fund. In Uganda at the moment, us smaller exhibitors pay a lot of money to show films from Rwanda, films from Kenya. We pay about $150, and they will not even cut on it. They won't even
away from the money, Andrew Kaggwa, what should we do to actually fix issues of quality in this industry?
I think at the moment, the biggest problem with Ugandan film is non-picture. They fixed that. And one of the reasons they fixed that is because we have better equipment at the moment. We have people shipping in lights. And even when we do not have people shipping in lights, you and I know that some people are good enough that they are building their own lights. So when it comes to quality of picture, I believe we've gone there. When I attended the second edition of the festival, the sound was so bad. And at the moment, it looks like they fixed the sound. But one thing that needs to be fixed at the moment, which I don't really understand why UCC is not working on it every time they have these workshops and everything, is the story.
All right, Ibrahim, Bossa, before we wrap up, help us understand what UCC is doing to try to fix quality issues in the industry, and also are you still enforcing the 70% local content directive on our TVs and radios?
Thank you. For starters, when the festival first started, the judges and jury usually produce reports. And the reports of the first two festivals was exactly what Andrew says. One of the problems of Ugandan content was poor lighting and poor sound. You'll realize that since that time, the capacity building that we have had has always carried an element to that. I actually remember being part of a countrywide workshop on issues, especially of story, writing stories, lighting, and sound. The last 2 years, the reports from the jury of the Uganda Film Festival has been able to clearly demonstrate a tremendous improvement in that aspect. So we feel that the capacity building is working, and we only have to improve on that. 70% local content, it's actually happening. We have actually gone, I think now 6 years since it was put in place.
2015.
If you look at the amount of local content today on our televisions, when we started, local content were about 28%. Today, many stations are hitting the 50. We have some that are hitting 60%. NTV here, if you're watching a series like The Honorables, that is local content, and probably that is different from 7 years ago.
Indeed.
Okay?
Amazing conversation
So,
I've been having.
absolutely.
Yes.
Pay televisions have picked up, they have about 20% of local content. So it is working. We are not yet there, but there's progress, and usually it's about engagement. It's about, when we talk about enforcement, exactly, you know, but I think we're getting there. We are impressed with the progress that probably we are having. There are a few concerns within the market. Still, there are people who are not able to get their content on broadcast, but also the broadcasters say, you know, there are some standard issues, there are quality issues, there are intellectual property issues. If you have content that has
copyright issues.
Exactly.
But of course, the media and other concerned stakeholders shall be here to help you, the UCC, as you also do what you're supposed to do to help the people in the film industry and those trying to get into the business. Thank you, Ibrahim Bossa, the spokesperson UCC, and also Andrew Kaggwa, an arts and culture journalist with the Daily Monitor, for having made the time to speak.